Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. In today's podcast, I wanted to talk about some news about Deloitte in the UK. And they decided to get rid of a ton of office space, 250,000 square feet of office space. And they only have two sites with 485,000 square feet left. And they scaled back their office space in London. And they're doing this as they embrace working from home and hybrid working. Now, it's not quite what PwC is, where they just let you choose wherever you want to work for completely. But Deloitte UK did a survey where where they asked their employees how they wanted to work. And they said that many of them only wanted to come into the office maybe 2 days a week. So Deloitte has embraced that, and they've decided to scale back their office spaces across the country. And they've taken the biggest shift, obviously, in London, but they've also closed other offices, and for employees in those offices, they could select, well, they had to elect to work from home in order to keep their employment. And there's articles that talk about flexible working companies like WeWork that'll potentially pick up the office space. If Deloitte were to need office space, they could utilize companies like WeWork. Now, I don't think that'll necessarily happen. I think the big four accounting firms are already using WeWork to the extent they needed them. So I think a lot of this is just the big four accounting firms embracing working from home. And I think they're doing it for two reasons. One is that it saves them money. You have a ton of office space that is very expensive, especially in London. I'm sure it was expensive pre-pandemic. It's probably less expensive now, but it takes a while for these rates to come down. And then another thing is that partners enjoy working from home as much as staff do. So I think that's another component here, and I think it's here to stay. But this is pretty huge. It's a big decision when a firm does something like this, because to give up your office space is it's a huge decision, because if you make it wrong and you need the office space, you're going to have to pay a lot of money going forward. But you're also telling your employees that they don't have to come in, or I mean, you don't necessarily require them to come in. And this is the way it already was in the big four accounting firms for people that have been working in the big four accounting firms for a while, because you had to hotel into a lot of places. The big four accounting firms you had to have a good reason to go into the office, or if you had to go in the office, you had to schedule your seat because they didn't have seats for everybody. And a lot of this is because of auditing. Auditors would spend a lot of time at clients. So the big four accounting firms didn't want to have a bunch of office space for auditors that weren't in the office for most of the time. So in some ways, the big four accounting firms were meant for this hybrid working model, working from home or working from the client site. The only problem is working from the client site is going to be a lot harder now, because clients are getting rid of office space as well. So it's very interesting. It's just, we see the trend heading that way, that everybody's going to, like, not everybody, but a lot of people are going to be working from home. I don't think everybody can work from home all the time, because I think sometimes you just need to be in person with your team. But this is big news. This coupled with previous news of PwC letting people work from wherever they want permanently is just showing that big four accounting firms is very flexible with the way you work. Yeah, you're going to be working around the clock all the time if you want to keep your job, but they don't really care necessarily where you do it or how you do it, as long as you get your stuff done and it's in a professional manner. So that's just something to keep in mind. But that's the update for today. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast to get future updates, and check out the show notes for useful links. Thanks for listening.